Competency questions. So, for instance, when have you demonstrated a particular skill? How have you developed an ability to do X, Y, Z? What's the biggest challenge you faced? When have you worked in a team, failed at something, been a leader? All these sorts of things. You need to have a good overview of all of your experiences so that if a question comes up you don't expect, you can just scan those experiences and you'll know which one will kind of best demonstrate that you have acquired that skill. Use a range of experiences to show that you're well-rounded. You haven't just picked up your capabilities through academic or commercial-based experiences, but through sport, music, social experiences, whatever it may be. Again, firms focus on different skills, different values, different capabilities. It changes between not just firms, but between industries. So do your research so you can really make sure you've got strong examples for the primary skills firms are known to ask about. And again, you can do that research, as mentioned, through searching through your network, finding people that have been through the process, reading reviews of internships online if people have talked about their interviews or their application experiences, and again, firm presentations. A lot of them tend to begin with a list of the kind of skills firms are looking for. And again, back up your statements. How did you develop the skills? You can't just say, I'm a fantastic leader and I'm really great at working in the team. You need to explain when you've been put in situations that have helped you to develop that. You might need to explain situations where it's gone wrong. So you've been working in a team and someone hasn't been pulling their weight and you've had to really step up and make sure the team pulls together and does really well. If you're able to go into that kind of detail, the firm are more likely to believe that you're being genuine in your answers. So that's what I had for that.
I think it's also important to remember that you need to be able to analyse your contributions in all these different things that you're going to use as examples, because sometimes they expect you to go back and think, oh, what would you have done differently if you had to do it again, because they want you to look back and kind of reflect on your own ability to perform these different skills that you claim to have.
And it's a good idea to use the CAR framework to answer, so context, action, result. And at least 40% of your answer should be focused on the action. So don't spend ages and ages going into great detail about the circumstances behind what happened. Try and dispatch that in a couple of sentences and then talk about the action. And particularly, make sure that it's the action that you took. And if you're answering a teamwork question, it's really easy to get stuck into, well, I worked as part of a team successfully, and we did this and we did that. That's not what the employer wants to hear. They want to hear what you did within that team to make the team work more effectively.
So I'm now going to put these guys on the spot, just to demonstrate what Frida was just saying about drawing out the relevant skills. So we have two columns here. We're going to try and take it in turns. This honestly wasn't planned in advance, so bear with us, to pick something from the right and explain how we could draw some of the skills on the left out of it. So I'll start with sport. So if you play for could be a casual five-a-side football team, university netball team, whatever it is, this might involve regular training. So regular training, if you show up every week, can show commitment and motivation. If you train and you've improved and you've started to win tournaments, that could be ambition. If you have to schedule training, order kit, recruit new players, this could be organisation. If you run the team personally and make sure everybody shows up, this could be leadership skills. So just some examples.
I guess my option then is music. So I, for instance, played in a wind orchestra in my first year at university, and in terms of, for instance, can start with interpersonal skills. When you sit in an orchestra with 60 other members, it's really crucial that you understand your place in it and where everyone else is, and also things like listening to the conductor and understanding that everyone is playing a different role and understanding where you fit into that bigger picture and being able to adapt to changing circumstances or maybe a piece of music that you're not too familiar with, but by listening to others and by listening to the conductor, being able to kind of think on the spot and using everyone else around you. I guess you could also look into things like organisation and time management skills, because when you play an orchestra you need to be able to organise your own time around that to practice your own pieces, and being able to calculate, okay, we have this piece to play next week, how am I going to set up my time in order to be able to perform that piece in a week's time. Attention to detail, I guess you could say, again, understanding that everyone plays a part in a symphony, and understanding what understanding that your details matter as well in that bigger picture. Commitment, I guess it's the same as Jake said, you committing to something, or you're there every week, you're practicing every week to make sure that you perform as well as possible. What else do we have there? Ability to work under pressure. I guess when you're performing in front of a big audience and something might be going slightly wrong and you might get your pulse up, but understanding that I have to take the situation, take the challenge, and just make sure that you keep yourself calm and work under that pressurised situation.
Quite a few.
Okay, I was going to talk about drama. That was my thing when I was a student. So again, teamwork skills, ambition, because you always want to have a nice part. You don't want to be the walk-on. So motivation and ambition. Certainly ability to work under pressure. If the person that you're acting with suddenly forgets all their lines or skips 10 pages or goes back 10 pages, you have to be able to deal with that situation and move on smoothly. So I suppose that also involves perhaps a certain amount of thinking laterally and innovatively. Yes, and I suppose also being able to present, and being able to present is also going to be a key skill for you as you progress through your careers, and some interview processes will require you to deliver presentations in front of a number of people, so the sooner you're able to do that, the better. So that's drama.
Okay, travelling, communication skills and confidence. If you've been travelling for 6 weeks by yourself, you have to communicate and you have to have the confidence to approach people, unless you like being completely by yourself for 6 weeks. So that can be a good way of explaining. Something that should be on here is adaptability. So if you're travelling in a different continent, there's a language barrier, there's a huge variety of people from different countries and different cultures. If you make good friends and you travel part of the way with them and you've kept in contact, it's a good way of showing firms that you are adaptable, and also that you have that interest in mixing with a diverse range of cultures, which is in turn important in hugely international firms. Organisation, if you're going to get yourself around the continent in 6 weeks without getting lost, you need to be fairly organised, you need to be able to book your own trains, make sure you're meeting deadlines all over the place. So I'd say those are the two main ones that I personally pulled out of travelling in my experiences.
I guess I should pick a couple of skills I haven't mentioned yet. So using modern United Nations as an example, things like negotiation, when you're working maybe in a team within your country or the country that you've been assigned, you have to negotiate certain points, and being able to understand, what are the other ones going to bring up as their claim, and being able to, okay, what can we compromise on, what can we not compromise on, and how can we make this work together with the rest of the 150 delegates in the room that you're about to meet. And the same, I think that we haven't, was ability to think laterally. So again, that kind of relates to being able to foresee all the different arguments that might come up on a specific issue. If you're in modern United Nations, being the US, you're going to have to be able to understand that Iraq might not have exactly the same ideas as you have. Being able to predict that always puts you in a better position when negotiating or trying to present something in an efficient way or convey an argument.
Student politics was something else that I was involved in, so representing students' interests and negotiating with the university. That's something that is really good for demonstrating motivation skills. It's also about communication, because you need to be able to communicate both with the student body, to collect views, and then to represent the student body to pass it on. Certainly leadership, because students have to have confidence in what you're doing as a leader, negotiation skills, and I suppose, again, ability to work under pressure. If senior people within the university are not taking the same approach to something as you have to be able to keep calm and to keep pushing your point forward.
I think maybe we'll just do one more. Within university, if you've been involved in societies, whether it's finance society, history society, Harry Potter society, it doesn't really matter. If as part of that society you've tried to secure sponsorship, again, that's where negotiation comes in. You're setting a price, you're trying to persuade sponsors to get involved. As far as thinking innovatively goes, if you put on a launch event or a certain event that you had to market to a wide number of students to ensure a good turnout, I mean, a marketing campaign at university for a society is a great example of an opportunity you've had to demonstrate that you can think innovatively. Society work may put you under pressure if you've got deadlines coming up or a massive event coming up and you've got sponsor expectations weighing down on your shoulders, so that could be an example. Commitment, obviously, if you're working really hard throughout the year and you can show significant improvements and results by the end, it shows that you've been able to commit to something for an extended period of time. So that's probably about it. I guess attention to detail, finally, if you're messaging sponsors and maintaining professional relationships, it's a way of showing that you've been able to have that attention to detail. And talk about university modules, group projects. I mean, if you had to do group projects as part of whatever module it is, that's a decent enough experience of when you've had to work in a team or lead, and you can talk about how your grade at the end was better than you expected, or you had certain slip-ups along the way, but it gives you a good example.